Newcastle fans everywhere will watch this game back over and over again. 8 different scorers for the first time in Premier League history, and for the first time since September 1999, Newcastle United score 8 goals in a Premier League match. What a day for them at Bramall Lane. High time we heard from one of those 8 goal scorers, the man who came on early in the game. Here he is, Anthony Gordon.
Anthony, congratulations. The joint biggest win from Newcastle in Premier League history. The last one, you weren't even born. I think you're -3. The biggest away win in Premier League history as well. You guys were in the mood, right?
It was just an amazing day to be a part of. Coming on, I didn't expect it, obviously. Harvey went down, so I had to sort of get my energy up for the game, and then from there, we just took off and we played really well, yeah. Some amazing goals.
I'm just throwing records at you as well, because it's the first time in Premier League history there's been 8 different scorers on the same team. Incredible. You shared it round.
Well, I didn't know that. I felt like a lot of people scored, but I didn't know that. I think everyone two-man played excellent today. We played together. There's some lovely passages of play, some combination play, and like I said, some top goals.
To come back from Milan and be that sharp is impressive, right?
Yeah, because it's difficult, you know, with the games every 3 days, but that's what the top teams do, and that's what we're trying to be. So it's important that we obviously keep our standards, and obviously when we come to these places, keep our foot down.
What about you personally? How annoyed do you get when you don't start games?
Yeah, I think everyone gets annoyed. Obviously, you want to play every game, but I understand with the fixtures this year that it's going to be difficult to play every game. So it's just about doing my part for the team. It's not about me. It's a team game, and you know, I'm only trying to do my bit when I do play. 12
minutes you came on. What was the message from Eddie and Jason? Because you came up with a cracker of a goal and an assist as well. You were busy down that left side.
Yeah, like I said, it was unexpected. So they just said, do your stuff, ran me through the set pieces, and you know, I just tried to get my energy up as quick, because it's hard to come onto a game where people have already started.
People will say, Anthony, look, it's Sheffield United, but I mean, what kind of a message does that send so early in the season to win like that?
People shouldn't say that, because it's not easy to come to these places. You know, it's a great atmosphere, great stadium with great fans, and it's a really tough place to come. And at 3-0, we could have, you know, come out second half, took our foot off, but we never. We turned the screw, and that's what we want to do when we have leads like that.
There have been some questions, obviously, because you guys started so well, didn't you, against Aston Villa, and then the 3 defeats against teams which, look, are trying to finish in the top 4 like you, right? So today this is fully back on track.
Yeah, well, I think people forget that we faced some really, really top teams in the league at the start of the season, and it was always going to be difficult, but I thought we played well in the games, and we just couldn't get that final bit, and today we're starting to show that bit.
Should it have been 9? Should you have had a penalty?
I think so. I haven't seen it back, but it definitely felt like a penalty in the box.
Yeah. 8 different goal scorers and all those records. I mean, I don't know who's going to get man of the match. Any ideas?
It could be anyone, I think. Maybe Bruno. Bruno was unbelievable, so probably give it to him.
The official line is, it's you. Look what I've got in my pocket. Congratulations, Anthony.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Appreciate that. Mate. Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Well, you can argue that all day long, who the player of the match might be. What you can't argue is how ruthless and clinical they were. We showed you the 3 first-half goals. Let's get into the second half. Callum Wilson, who hasn't started that many games today, has now scored 15 goals in his last 18 Premier League games.
Yeah, I mean, he's a goal machine, isn't he? I mean, I must admit, I've forgotten the goals. There was that many of them. Right, this one. Right, what a move. I thought this was actually the pick of the goals in terms of team goals. Great driving from the defence, a lovely little floated ball from Trippier, who I mentioned before. He had a few assists today, and then Callum Wilson, as you say, Steve, he's just a goal machine. I think he's a very, very good finisher, very capable in the air as well. He won't get many easier than that one, but as a centre-forward, when your team's scoring 8, you need to get on the score sheet.
Yeah, and I think Sol, Anthony Gordon would have been frustrated if he hadn't in that game, given the chances he had and the involvement he had, and he finally got his goal after that.
Yeah, I mean, great kind of energy. You know, all talking about the energy up and down, great stamina, work rate. And he's always coming in, he's always threatening, kind of coming inside. Once it opens up, has a little bit of dip just before the keeper, bottom corner, great finish, great contact. Yeah, and he's man of the match as well, really. He's played unbelievable today. Since he's got on, inside, opens up. Once you open up as a centre forward or a winger and you've got the whole goal to kind of shoot at, you know, it's hard for the keeper. Just get on target and it's in. Or the keeper's going to parry it and someone else is going to tap it in.
Miguel Almiron made it 6. By this stage, though, was Sheffield United just all at sea? Was it just far too easy for Newcastle to get through?
Yeah, they were looking for the clock, weren't they? They were looking for time to go quickly. But this is a real poor goal. It goes down the centre of the pitch. There's a runner. Nobody picks him up. I think it's Davis here who's a bit lazy. He says, I don't think the ball's going to be played, is it? Sorry, son, but it has. And they're right through penetrating into the 18-yard box. It's a great run and a great ball in, but a good finish on his left foot. And I thought he played well, Almiron. He didn't start in Milan, but he was one of the changes that Eddie Howe put in there. Thought it was good all through the game.
The man of the match vote from Anthony Gordon went to Bruno Guimaraes. I mean, he ran the show and he got involved with number 7.
Yeah, number 7 was a real Newcastle fans' favourite. Guimaraes, he is a top player. I love watching him play. He can break from midfield. He can play a lot of different roles actually in midfield. There he is, just loitering at the back post. And when you looks down, these things happen. A bad deflection and it could go absolutely anywhere. 360 degrees it could go here. And it goes to one place where Newcastle man's just stood right in front of the goal, touch and finish. And don't get me wrong, it was a lovely touch across his body, keeps it tight, and then just gives that little bit of a lift as well, so it's harder for the
he's
keeper.
one of the sort of semi-holding players that you're looking at. And when you're 5 up, then you can
discipline is out the window.
Yeah, you can give him a little bit of a freedom to go and get a goal. And although I think he's probably a better player than the deep line player for me. He could play with somebody sitting there. He has, and I think he likes to get forward.
So put yourself in those defenders' shoes for Sheffield United. You're 7-0 down. You see Newcastle bring a £60 million striker on who's eager to get involved as well.
That's the difference. But, Sheffield United, to be honest, they're passengers today. They're just, ships in the night, just moving around. And then, is that in, lovely, lift it, boom. It's lovely. It's, beautiful move, shame about the pass back, header back, but control, inside, lift it. It's effortlessly, it's just so easy. It's almost like a 5-a-side game.
It's the beauty of being two-footed as well. I love that, faking to shoot with your left and having the balance and the skill to bring it back onto your right.
That's see what beautiful
Stuart McCall thinks of it all, but he's out there. I love that finish. Lots of people panic in front of the goal like that, but as you say, one thing that I wish I had practiced my left foot more, because, just not necessarily striking a ball, but I think if you're a striker, or any player for that matter, being able to manipulate a ball with both feet and almost fake to shoot with the right and hit with your left, or vice versa, like Isaac did there, I think it's a huge skill to have. And you could argue that Newcastle have got 2 of the best finishers in the league, actually. I mean, I think they're both. Whenever I see them go closing on goal, I'm thinking, that's a goal. Of course, there's Haaland. He'd be right up there as well. But there's not many that jump out off the page to me when I think, all-round classy finishers than the 2 Newcastle lads.
Yeah, I think Wilson is a 18-yard box man more than Isaac. He wants to come towards the ball all the time. I don't see him as somebody that's going to get across the front post and pull out. He's a lovely player to the eye, don't get me wrong. But I see Wilson, when Wilson's playing or comes on as sub, I always think they've got a better goal-scoring threat. And but today's goal he took, Wilson, was too easy. But it's a good thing for Eddie Howe is that first half they've had set plays that have come off. So they've scored goals from set plays, and then in free play they've scored a lot of goals, 8 different people scoring. You've just come back from a tough European Champions League game. You've got a point over there. Happy days. Absolutely brilliant Newcastle day.
And a day where, as it was mentioned, every Newcastle fan in the ground will say, I was there at Bramall Lane, because it was history in the making. It's their biggest ever league away win. And as you can see, before today, they hit 7 back in 1927. But 8-0 against Sheffield United will go down in the history books. And in terms of the Premier League era for Newcastle, as I mentioned, Sir Bobby Robson's very first game in charge was back in September 1999. Alan Shearer would not forgive me if I didn't mention that he got 5 of those 8 goals that day. But they've matched it today with the 8-0 win against Sheffield United. So a very memorable day for everyone connected with Newcastle United, but a nightmare one, and one which will take a long time to get over for everyone connected with Sheffield United, particularly their manager, Paul Heckingbottom.
Paul, how do you sum up that?
Yeah, listen, it's a bad end to what's been a bad week for us. Yeah, of course it is. So, yeah, these results are going to come. We expect them, but it's the nature of the performance which we're upset about. First half, there's some real good moments, how we wanted to play. We were undone by our organisation. Their goal kicks, their throw-ins, set plays, 3 goals from set plays, a throw in a corner and a wide free kick, which is really poor on our part. We can't afford to put ourselves behind in that sort of fashion if we want to compete. Then after that, make changes to chase, which is difficult. But it's the second half I'm upset with, regardless of the errors which lead to goals. We need to make sure that we learn from that and the players understand what I'm talking about. So a lot of the things that we saw in the second half I've never seen here.
Important lessons to learn and need to learn those lessons quickly. How do you go about addressing that with the players? You can't go in and just hammer them, can you?
No, there's certain things that aren't acceptable, which they know. We've got to learn quickly. We keep saying it because it's the new players, new to the group, senior players leading by it, know what's expected. Yeah, it's the work on the training pitch. Listen, these games aren't going to define our season. We know that. Like I said, we're now going to have other things, and it's about accumulating the points. You know, we're under no illusions what our task is this season. You know, and I think what we have to be careful of is, whilst there's huge things we need to learn from and things that we can't accept if we want to compete, we also have to keep a calm head about this sort of game. As long as we're really clear on what's happened, as long as we're really clear on what can't happen again, because if it does, they're the results that can happen. That's the level of competition that we're in now.
And what would you say to your supporters after a result like that? Because it's not just hurting, they're in pain after losing 8-0 at home. Yeah,
of course. No one wants to see that. It's listen, the supporters were first class. You could hear them all the way through. Everyone feels it's been a tough week for everyone here. Support staff, the players, been a tough week, and we wanted to do our bit to try and change that. And we failed, so it's been a tough week.
And in terms of how alarming it is to lose by that kind of margin, because in the previous 4 defeats you've been in all those games, you only lost narrowly, but to get thumped like that is a real kick in the teeth, isn't it?
Yeah, and it can happen. Like I said, for the moments, first half, how we wanted to play, because obviously we changed how we wanted to play with losing Ollie. He was there, it was good. But our organisation was poor. We never... any sort of dead ball, any sort of restart we want to be good at, and that cost us first half, and then we're 3-0 down, regardless of the opportunities we had, regardless of us getting in good areas, regardless of us passing the ball. We were 3-0 down. But then second half, like I said, we made changes, we introduced people into the game, and it went the other way, you know. But it's one result. It's 3 points we've lost. So long as the nature of the defeat is put right.
And confident you can lift everybody's spirits, ready for the next challenge when that comes along.
Yeah, you can't feel sorry for yourself. That's it. It's next Saturday, another tough game. So no, we're ready. We're ready to go tomorrow morning. Like I said, the things we have to address from that, we can't shy away from it. But the good thing is you've always got another game.
Good stuff. Thanks for your time, Paul. Cheers pal. Thank you.
Well, he's very honest. It's West Ham away next, then Fulham away, then Manchester United at home. They've also got Arsenal to play in those next 6 fixtures. It is, Glenn, their heaviest league defeat in their history. If that was you as a manager, would you expect to survive that?
I think he said it in his interview there, the word calm. It's time to keep a calm head. And for him, he's talking about him and his players. I think it was a little message to the owners as well, to stay calm. It's early in the season. They need to pick up points against the bottom teams. This is outside of their league, if you like. So they've still got enough time to turn that around and survive. That's what they've got to do this year. It's about getting over that line with 3 bottoms. Just get a point over that line. That's all. That's their season. So at this moment in time, I think they'll stay with him actually. But it's a tough one to take. But he spoke really well. He could have been really negative there and come out and said, well, is this guy really someone who's going to turn it around? He was as much on the front foot as you're ever going to get with somebody who's just lost 8, his team's lost 8-0 at home. He's got a couple of away games now, which might actually help him. They're not going to Man City or Liverpool. It would have been tough. It's tough games. Every game's going to be tough for Sheffield United. But to play at home after you've just lost 8-0 maybe is more difficult than going away. They've got 2 away games.
Yeah. I mean, what do you do? What do you say in that dressing room? You know, do you have a go at your players? They know that they're so upset. They'll be petrified of showing their face in public after that one for a good while. So what can you do bar be positive? But it's not easy to be positive as well when you've been beaten like that. So tough, but they were under no illusions this season. They've come up. Their playing squad is not as good as the majority of the Premier League teams, so they're going to get one or two hide-ins like that. But
is it the fashion, the manner they got it today?
I guess so. Yeah. I mean, it was very easy eventually for Newcastle, but Newcastle were clinical. I mean, they hardly missed a chance. But yeah, I mean, he'll be disappointed. But what can you do, Bob? Dust yourself down and put on a brave face and go again. That's the only thing you can do.
Yes, he said something, positive and calm, and this, you got to say those things to the manager, because you got to make sure you're managing upwards to the owners. But it's, as you said before, it's how you lose and how you win as well. That's a big loss. Whether the team can get that out their system, we have to see. They've got some tough games, no easy games now. Mentally, they're damaged. So he's got to pick everyone up. He's got to be positive. He's got to get the team going again. He's got to get them fighting, because today it was all shadows. They were just chasing shadows. They were just running alongside players. There was no competing, no tackles, no kind of in your face, no block, no kind of you're going to have this space, but you're not going to have this here. It was just too open. It was like a big five-a-side game. Newcastle they were just running the show.
Yeah, as I said, there didn't look to me like a game plan was there. If there was, the players, that's where he would be so disappointed in the players. The players have let him down. If they've set it up all week, so this is how we're going to play, whether it be pressing on the front foot or dropping in deeper, making ourselves tight, whatever it is, that wasn't there. That was evident. It wasn't there. The clarity wasn't there for the players to go over that line and produce that. The only good thing not good thing, it's the wrong word, but they've got beaten by a Champions League side. They're not. If they'd got thrashed 6-0 against, I don't know, let's say a Burnley, for instance, or a team that's mid-table, then I think that would have been disaster. They're a very good side, but you give a very good side, Newcastle, time and space on the ball, they're going to punish you, and this league will punish you. They've got to pick up some points quickly.
Well, a reminder of those extraordinary events at Bramall Lane. They were 3-0 up Newcastle at half-time, 3 goals in 14 minutes, including Sven Botman's first for the club and Dan Burns' second. And then they really did turn the screw with those 5 in the second half. Remember, it is the first time in Premier League history a team have had 8 different scorers. Right, let's hear from the winning manager. What a day for him as well. Here he is, Eddie Howe.
Eddie, was that the complete performance from your team?
Yeah, it was very good. I don't know if it was the complete performance. We're always going to look and find things we can improve, but really tough place to come, especially off the back of a European week for us. So delighted with the players.
How important was it that you got the approach right today after the emotional and physical highs of Europe in the week?
Well, that was the key to the game, really. If we didn't turn up in the best condition, Sheffield United would have beaten us. So we had to, first of all, attack the game in the way that we normally would. We had to be ready for what they would throw at us, try and quieten the crowd, and we started really well. We got the goal early, and then that settled us down and played some really good football after that.
To get a win here would have been good. To get a win and keep a clean sheet would have been good. But to score 8 goals along the way and equal Newcastle's best ever win in the Premier League, what does that tell you about your players, this club?
Well, I think it shows you that the players were very motivated for the game. They were very hungry for goals and for success. I do think we've got a really motivated group. I see really good character traits through the whole squad. It's a long season for us. We've got lots of challenges to come, but certainly the last week's been a really good return to form for us.
It's difficult to pick out any player after a performance like that, but Anthony Gordon was left out from the start. He's thrown on with 10 minutes to go and really tackled the game with such enthusiasm and such ability.
Yeah, he's a top player. So our idea was to just rest him after 2 really big physical efforts. He comes on straight away, and I think that's his best game in a Newcastle shirt. I thought he was outstanding, and he's really found a good rhythm so far this season, and hopefully that continues.
8-0, 8 different goal scorers. It's difficult to remember the way the goals went in, but is there one of the goals that is particularly outstanding for you afterwards?
Well, I'm the same. I can't even remember the goal scorers, but I think the one that pleases me the most is Sven's Botman's goal. But he's waited a long time for it. He's worked tirelessly in training on his heading and set plays, and he's come so close just to see him actually score. I think that'd be a big relief for him.
Great celebrations with the fans afterwards. It's been quite a week for them. A trip to Milan for many of them, and then an 8-0 victory on the road. Well,
I was saying to a member of staff afterwards, it's great to actually share that moment with them, because not an easy start to the season for us, and they've stuck with us. They've been absolutely magnificent, and they travelled to Milan, and I'm sure a lot of expense, late nights, but I'm really grateful for their support, and it's great to share it with them tonight.
And finally, Eddie, is the next challenge to make sure everybody's feet are firmly on the ground. 8-0 away from home just means 3 points.
Well, I'm sure after the start we've had, going back very short time ago to the feeling we had against Liverpool and how that hurt, I don't think I'll have an issue with that.
Great stuff. Well done today, Eddie. Cheers, pal. Thank you.
No, Michael, we know him well. He won't get too high, even after an 8-0, Eddie Howe, will he?
No, exactly, and that's the right way to be. You know, you don't get too low, or you try not to get too low when things go wrong, and you try not to get too high when, you know, you've got to try to just stay that level, you know, level and not go up and down too much. And I think he's got the right temperament for that, to be a manager. You know, you've got to enjoy it, though. That's the other thing. You've got to enjoy an 8-0 win. You're setting records. You know, you're making headlines. These moments are really important for the fans, and it builds that confidence. It builds that belief in the squad, you know, from the terraces right up to the boardroom and right the way through the dressing room. So it's important. It's important you enjoy it. But as you say, back to work tomorrow. Calm down. Let's see what we got the next game.
Indeed. OK, let's begin our review of the rest of today's action.